Late Friday and early Saturday morning, a piece ran in the Times of London and on BBC Four. It had to do with Russell Brand, comedian, actor, and now political commentator. It has to do with accusations made by four different women against him from a period of 2006 up until about 2013. Now, everybody has got a take on this thing, and as you might expect, so do I. I have a little bit of curiosity about one thing. I don't understand the timing. Then I'll explain all that when we start talking about this in just 1 second.
My name is Brian Trippett. I am your front porch conservative. Step on up to my electronic front porch and let's talk.
Like everybody else over the weekend, I had heard about this allegation related to Russell Brand, actor, comedian, commentator, and I have very mixed feelings about it. So I'm going to tell everybody up front who normally watches my videos, this one's going to be different in terms of tone and substance than others that I have made done because there's a lot of different issues that are swirling around in all of this. But let's start first by looking at that which Russell Brand is accused of and then hear from his own lips what he has to say about it. We begin with the Times of London, a major influential paper in Europe. Russell Brand accused of rape, sexual assaults, and abuse. Four different women, including one who was just 16, make allegations after an investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 dispatches. Article written by Rosamund Irwin and Charlotte Weiss and Paul Morgan Bentley. The comedian and actor Russell Brand has been accused of rape, sexual assaults, and emotional abuse during a 7-year period at the height of his fame. Four women have alleged sexual assaults between 2006 and 2013 while he was a presenter for BBC Radio 2 and Channel 4 and then an actor in Hollywood films. Others have made a range of accusations against Brand's controlling, abusive, and predatory behavior. Brand denied the allegations and said his relationships have all been consensual. The findings come from a joint investigation by the Sunday Times, the Times, and Channel 4 dispatches. One woman alleges that Brand raped her against a wall in his Los Angeles home after she was treated at a rape crisis center on the same day, according to medical records. Text messages show that in the hours after leaving his house, she told Brand that she had been scared by him and felt taken advantage of, adding, "When a girl says no, it means no." Brand replied saying he was very sorry. Moving a little further into this article. A second woman alleges that Brand assaulted her when he was 31 and she was 16 and still in school. She referred to her, she said he referred to her as, quote, the child during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship that lasted about 3 months, and that Brand once forced his penis down her throat, making her choke. She says she tried to push him off, and she said that she had to punch him in the stomach to make him stop. A third woman claims that he sexually assaulted her while she worked with him in Los Angeles and that he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegation. A fourth described being sexually assaulted by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive toward her. All said they felt ready to speak only after being approached by reporters. Several said they were compelled to do so given Brand's newfound prominence as an online wellness influencer with millions of followers on YouTube and other sites. Others have accused him of physical and emotional abuse, sexual harassment, and bullying. Most of the women who do not know each other have chosen to remain anonymous. Over the past few years, reporters have interviewed hundreds of sources who knew or worked with Brand, ex-girlfriends, and their friends and family, comedians and other celebrities, people who have worked with him on TV and radio, and senior staff at the BBC, Channel 4, and other media organizations. Okay, that is which that is of which Russell Brand is accused. And now we're going to hear it from his own lips what his response to all this is. So we're going to get this pulled up, let you guys take a listen to it. This is Russell Brand in his own words, and then we're going to talk about it. Now I'm going to play the whole clip.
Hello there, you awakening wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received two extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies. And as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan, when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you. You're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago, there was a spate of articles. Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist. Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack. Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Okay. That's Russell Brand's side of it. Let's get into this. Okay. Although, contrary to popular opinion, many people think that I am a power and influential member of the media, I am not. So quite obviously, I do not know Russell Brand personally. I only know the man that I see. I only know the stories that have been told. I only know that which is in the press. I don't know him well enough to know to say yay or nay, he did this or he didn't do it. Which, by the way, I think is a very important point in all of this. Everybody on both sides needs to keep their powder dry, so to speak. I understand the inclination to want to rush to this man's defense. Let's be honest about it. How many media narratives, not true stories, did I say? I said media narratives have been blown up after the actual facts come out. I mean, I could sit here and list a litany of different things. Young men or an individual man being accused of being untoward with regard to a woman. And then we find out later on the story was flimsy. The story fell apart because there was no substance to any of it. There was no truth in any of it. So for that reason, I'm keeping my powder dry. With the caveat understanding, okay, it is altogether possible. Maybe Russell Brand did that which he is accused of by these four women. Now, one of them is a very sensational headline, a 16-year-old. But what the London Times is not telling you is age of consent in the UK is 16. Now, we can sit here all day long and have an argument about, okay, should a 20-something or late 20s or early 30 something year old man be having a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old girl? Okay, there's a difference between legal and ethical moral. I get that. Okay. But let's lay that aside for a moment. These are very sensational headlines. These are very sensational accusations. You've now got the Times of London on one side, and now you've got Russell Brand on the other. Russell Brand says he's got direct evidence that refutes all of this. Okay, Russell, put it out there. So, number one, I think everybody ought to keep their powder dry about this. Number two, I think everybody ought to suspend any kind of a verdict on this. I give Russell Brand the same thing that I give everybody else. You're innocent until proven guilty. The case has to be made against you conclusively that you are guilty of that which you are accused. Okay? It's not guilty until proven innocent. No, you're innocent until you are proven guilty. There's a difference in those two things. I don't know whether these ladies are lying or not. They've got to make the case. But there are some things about this story that really make me personally suspicious. And I will admit, I normally don't get into these waters, so I'm trying to do this as justly and as righteously as I possibly can, and do right by you, my viewers. Number one, why is it that all of a sudden, after what would be, 10 years since the last time this supposedly happened, why is this stuff coming out right now? By Katie Hopkins, who's an independent journalist in Great Britain. She knows Russell. They've known each other for years. I want you to listen to part of what she says. Take a listen to this.
Is that the left, the Guardian, the Olympic Committee, everybody, they loved Russell. I remember when Russell broke into my LBC radio studios to call me a Nazi. The left loved Russell at that time, and they couldn't promote him more heavily. They thought he was absolutely fantastic. It's not until he started spitting facts on COVID that they decided he had to be got rid of, particularly after he appeared on American TV screens talking truth about Big Pharma and the billionaires that have been created with your tax revenue. And now they're coming out and saying that he reverse engineered his move over to the freedom movement. He reverse engineered speaking out for people who disagreed with lockdowns, who see what's coming, who know that they're trying to take control away from the people. They're saying he reverse engineered this in order to try and build up a cultist following so that when all of this came out, he would have cover. I mean,
okay. This to me is interesting, and I want to address something that she said in her statement. The left loved Russell until he started speaking out about COVID. Now, if you're wondering what she is referring to, I want to play you a little bit of a clip from Bill Maher's show that runs on HBO. This to me is fascinating because it could very well be that she's onto something. Now, let me also say something else before I play this clip. You can speak truth and still be a horrible person. Okay? There are people I disagree with all the time for various reasons. Okay? But if you say something that's factually correct, I may not like the way you do things. I may not like you. I may not agree with you. But when you say something that's factually true, whether I like you, dislike you, or whatever, I have the obligation in maturity as a human being to say, you know what? I don't agree with you, but you're right. And could it very well be that this is a case where an individual who has done bad things in his life, of which we all have, by the way, God knows we all carry our own bag of hammers and things that we're not proud of, myself included. Could it very well be that a man with a checkered past just happened to say the right thing in front of the wrong people. I take you to a clip from Bill Maher's show. This runs about a minute and a half, but I'm going to play the whole thing. Okay? Listen to this, because this gets really interesting.
Yes.
Out of respect for you and your show, I've brought some facts. Would you? If you like, they're actually.
You just get the fuck out of here. This is not the place.
I thought you'd like facts.
We love facts. I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness is our fundamental religion.
Yeah.
But they do pertain to this issue. So may I say some of them? If they inconvenience you, I'll stop saying them. The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than 2/3 of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention that finally, and this is also a fact, that you, the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. All I'm querying is this.
Yes.
Is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis where the interests of ordinary people separate from the interests of the elite.
Now do you begin to see why people are starting to have serious reservations about how all this has gone down? Now, again, I am not saying that Russell Brand did not do that of which he is accused. That is for, the court of public opinion and the courts to decide, because ultimately that's where this is going to wind up. Okay? It's already in the court of public opinion. Everybody's talking about it. It doesn't matter whether you like Russell Brand, don't like Russell Brand. You think he's a good guy, you think he's a scumbag. It doesn't matter. Everybody's talking about it. Okay? Let's wait for the facts to come out. Let's wait for the truth to come out. Let's see what happens. I am willing, and I think everybody else ought to, reserve judgment on this. Look, I will give Russell Brand credit for all this. He has freely admitted to having a problem with sexual addiction. Okay? He's put it behind him, as far as we all know. He's married now, has 2 children, has a 3rd one on the way. By all accounts, by everybody that knows him, for all the problems that he had, he's now trying to make a better life for himself. You know what? I applaud him. I applaud him. I applaud any man. I applaud any woman that does that. That's great. But this stuff is 10 years old. And why, especially during the height of the Me Too movement, why didn't this stuff come out then? I think that's a fairly reasonable question. I mean, if we're supposed to believe all women and we're supposed to automatically give them credibility when an accusation is made, why didn't this stuff come out about Russell Brand back then? It's very, very telling. And it's this. Let me pull it back up real fast. And I think this is where we ought to focus our attentions for the moment. All of the women said they felt ready to speak only after being approached by reporters. Here's the kicker. Several said they felt compelled to do so given Brand's newfound prominence as an online wellness influencer with millions of followers on YouTube and other sites. Ladies and gentlemen, could it very well be that Russell Brand got too big and too influential, and somebody or somebodies felt they had to take him down a notch? Now, I can just hear what people are going to say. Come on, Front Porch, you're being conspiratorial about this. You're sounding like one of those, InfoWars, Alex Jones listeners. No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. These accusations that are being made against Russell Brand are at a minimum 10 years old. Some of them are older than that. If this stuff was as serious as is being claimed, if this stuff was as hurtful as being claimed, and I am not trying in any way, shape, or form to denigrate these women who have come forward. They have made a claim. Let them provide the evidence to prove it. That's what I say. But why is it that at a minimum, this stuff is 10 years old and we're just now finding out about it on or around the time that Russell Brand is speaking out about the COVID lockdowns, the vaccines, and everything else? Why? And by the way, I'm not necessarily the only person that's thinking this way, especially in high prominence. Let me take you to an article from the New York Post. Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, Tucker Carlson support Russell Brand after sex assault claims. Got an article written here by Catherine Dunleavy, and we read the following. Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, and Tucker Carlson led the charge in supporting Russell Brand in the wake of a bombshell expose alleging that he raped and abused 4 women over the course of the years. Quote, of course they don't like the competition, Musk wrote in response to Brand's video, suggesting he's being targeted as part of a coordinated media attack for his right-wing criticism of the media, which he details in his podcast, Stay Free. Social influencer Tate, who is awaiting trial in Romania for rape and human trafficking charges, also threw his support behind Brand on the platform. Welcome to the club, Andrew Tate said to Brand. On my way to fight the crazy bitch allegations matrix attack, he wrote in another post. Political commentator Carlson, who by the way has been interviewed by Russell Brand, writing, quote, criticize drug companies, question the war in Ukraine, and you can be pretty sure that this is going to happen, end of quote. Folks, again, people are going to say that I'm being conspiratorial about this. I don't think that I am, because it comes down to timing. Why at 10 years on, after the last time this supposedly happened, are we just now finding out about this? Now, supposedly, the Times of London article, which I've read, by the way, I've read the thing now thoroughly, says that, well, it was a well-known secret inside, media in London that Russell was this way. Well, okay, maybe not. But let me play you one more clip from Katie Hopkins, because I think this is very interesting indeed. Listen to one last thing she's got to say about this. Check this out. Very, very.
And the truth, because mainstream isn't that clever, The Guardian aren't that clever, is that Channel 4 heavily promoted Brand all the time that they wanted to. Now, the establishment has been looking for revenge for Hugh Edwards. They've wanted someone from our side, the side that simply wants everyone to be okay, to pick off. And so they just regurgitated old shit about Russell. They found some people willing to sit in the dark and say stuff that pretty much Russell had already fessed up to already. And now that he's a clean living guy, certainly cleaner living than I am, with a happy and stable life and a sold out tour and a successful media platform still, he has to be culled.
That is very thought-provoking from my perspective. And Katie Hopkins may be onto something. Is somebody trying to get even with Russell? Oh, there you go again with the conspiracy theories, front porch. No, not necessarily. Not in this day and age. And I will say one thing. I'll point out one more post, which I think is very thought-provoking as it relates to Russell Brand. This is from a young lady named Kate Shimirani. Russell Brand stops taking illicit drugs, stops drinking alcohol, gets divorced from an unhappy relationship, leaves the whole Hollywood life behind, gets remarried, totally in love, has 2 children with another one on the way, leads a completely different life, begins a podcast, tells the truth, exposes the system and the narrative. Now he gets attacked. But so does his wife and children. To those on here literally vibrating with excitement, eagerly awaiting another one's downfall, you will be next. Like I said, I don't know Russell Brand. Don't know if he's telling the truth. Don't know if he's guilty of that which he's accused. I'm going to accord him the same thing that I would give everybody else. You're innocent until someone proves you to be guilty. These 4 women, anonymously, might I add, are making these accusations. The Times of London writes a very lengthy piece documenting the information that they've got. Russell Brand on the other side of that says, I've got information that refutes it. Okay, let's put everything out there. Everybody put their cards on the table. Show me what you got. Then let's make a decision. But until then, I have some pieces of advice for what it's worth. Russell, keep on doing what you're doing. Don't you dare stop podcasting. Speak the truth. If you've got an opinion about something, say it. I may agree with you. I may disagree with you. I don't know. But don't let them silence you. Because I've got a bad feeling that's what's being attempted here. Number 2, for everybody on both sides, whether you like Russell, whether you don't like Russell, just keep your powder dry. Okay? Let's see how this plays out. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that a person may have done bad things in the past, but still be able to acknowledge that they are speaking truth. Just because I don't necessarily like someone or don't agree with someone does not mean that I'm going to automatically dismiss them if they present a set of facts to me that prove to be true. And that may very well be the case here. Maybe Russell Brand is guilty of that which he's accused. But when it comes to talking about the issues he's talking about, is he wrong? Just because he has a bad past. That's something I think everybody ought to keep in mind. So let's see where all this goes. But for right now, it is the talk of the internet. But that's what I've got to say about it. What do you think? As we start to wrap up this video, please do me some favors as always. Number 1, if you're not a subscriber to my channel, please do so. Number 2, please leave a comment below. I would really love to know what you think about this whole situation. This to me is completely fascinating. Number 3, please share the video around. I'd like to see what everybody else is thinking too. Number 4, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. I always want to make sure that you're aware when new material is coming out all the time. And number 5, please give me a thumbs up. My name is Brian Trippett. I am your Front Porch Conservative, and I'll see you next time.